Hello and welcome to Here in LA, Hollywood Hills edition. Today, we get to meet Andrew Rudick. Andrew is a man who shortly after the January 6th insurrection started a crusade to remove Donald Trump's star from the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He has talked with countless government agencies, poured through documents and records, and believes that the power lies with the LA City Council. Namely, the council member representing the neighborhood where the star is, Hugo Soto-Martinez. In September, Hugo told The Guardian UK he was willing to take on the controversial patch of sidewalk that's been vandalized and attacked by pickaxes. Hugo himself once said, quote, "Donald Trump is a racist, fascist, and threat to our democracy," unquote. So, since Trump's name has been removed from the Colorado ballot for the upcoming presidential election, the question is, will Hugo use this moment and have City Council agree to get it removed from the Walk of Fame for the same reason, that little old insurrection? So here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Rudick. Hey everybody, I'm here in Hollywood with Andrew Rudick. Hey!
Thanks for having me.
It's going to sound a lot louder, that applause, on the podcast. Andrew, thank you so much for coming here.
Of course.
We have already done 13 episodes in Hollywood.
Wow.
My max is 5. But you are such an interesting person that I'm going to break my rules. But also I feel like Hollywood has more than just one neighborhood. And yours is technically the Hollywood Hills?
Yeah, so right near the Ford Theater, tucked away if you're going up Cahuenga Boulevard East. So we're kind of right there at that intersection of 101 and Cahuenga and Barham Boulevard. And so everything, Hollywood Bowl season's coming around and it's chaos as usual. But
is it really horrible for you when there's a show there?
Gosh, if God forbid, if there was a fire, there was a brush fire a couple years back. But if there was a fire now, I would feel a little bit hesitant. I'd feel the opposite of hesitant. I wouldn't know how to get the hell out of there. But there's only one way up that street, so you can't. If there's road work going on, we just go up and hope for the best, and then it's. But maybe that's something I should bring up to City Council next.
There's priorities,
right?
He's joking because Andrew's here because his mission right now, because he's chosen to accept it, is to try to rid the Hollywood Boulevard Walk of Fame of Donald Trump's star. Mm-hmm. Yay!
I know many people disagree, and I don't know
how disagree.
Well, I don't know how many in Los Angeles disagree. I don't think it's ever been taken to an actual official poll. But it's something that would be unprecedented.
Yep.
The jurisdiction is there for the city to act, and they haven't acted yet. Mm-hmm. I think in part for a lot of misinformation that has been consistently espoused by, both media outlets and city officials who were just propagating what they heard. And I don't blame them for doing so.
So the city council doesn't know the rules.
I mean...
No, one of our first guests was William Good, who basically convinced me that cops don't know the laws a lot of times.
There's so many of them. I mean, how can any one person...
Well, they also don't know the First Amendment is his problem. He's like,
a big one.
It's a pretty big one. And, but anyways, he's like, it's kind of, what I took for him was it's kind of understandable because a lot of cops don't even have college degrees. This is the highest paying job with just a GED that you could get, highest paid entry job that you could get. And so that might pull in people who haven't read the Constitution or have a hard time reading law. But city council, I would think, is different. I would hope that they're almost all college grads. And if they're not, they love the law, which is why they become lawmakers. Mm-hmm. And yet we think they don't know the rule.
Yeah. All right. This is where, cut me off whenever it gets a little too boring here with the nitty gritty of this particular council file 78-3949, which, after I had done my initial research, after all that had happened under the Trump presidency, and I said, why the hell is this thing still here after West Hollywood's unanimous resolution they passed in 2018? Mm-hmm. And then you have Eric Garcetti, then mayor, who said it can't be removed because it's a historic cultural monument and it can't be done. And it's like, well, we have a cultural heritage ordinance that allows us to alter monuments, to demolish monuments after review. So why is this one so special? And so, just went on, Googled, went on to City Clerk Connect, did the old Walk of Fame, see what popped up, and went from there. And apparently this council file is an archived council file. So everything prior to 1979, ironically, because this one's from 1978, is archived. So I had to file a CPRA request because I had seen that every single star file that the council votes on. So every single star you see on the Walk of Fame since 1958, since the first 8 original names were then put there, till 1962 when the 1,558 names were then added, the city council has accepted and approved all of those names. So there's never been a point in time where they haven't. And
I did not know that the city council was involved in approving stars. I was under the impression the Walk of Fame board who decides. But you're saying city council also has a vote?
They've always had sole jurisdiction over this. It's a public right of way that they've allowed under an original assessment district that was created that paid for these stars. Council files 71376 and 71377, I believe, are the 2 council files that were the first original files preceding the council file in 1978 that established a policy for like how more stars are approved. Because originally the city had created an agreement with the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce to put these names, and they even reference that in those council files. They say, after we approve these names from the original installation. Mm-hmm. So there's always been, the city's role has been a collaborative one with the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, but the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, there's no, they don't have any legal jurisdiction over our sidewalk, and there is no, other than a ceremonial administrative authority that they hold over this monument, there is no legal authority that they hold over it, other than, their actual owning of the blocks themselves of cement.
So do you think then that this, that the Walk of Fame board puts up nominees that then the city approves and then it gets kicked back to the Hollywood Walk of Fame people, and then they eventually decide who they're going to give stars to?
So I don't know how their internal process works other than what they have publicly posted. Mm-hmm. And what they have available is that anyone within a certain time, which that, okay, how do I put this? So anyone at any time can actually choose to nominate a Walk of Fame.
That's right.
Potential nominee. You or I could today say, hey, we're going to go up to walkoffame.com, even though they've shut down that portal currently because they say, oh, no, we only accept nominations from April until whenever, which under the city's only official policy overseeing the Walk of Fame, that there is no timeline. So that's already a self-imposed part of it that they have implemented. Mm-hmm. But you or I could go and say, all right, I want to nominate Tony Pierce for a Walk of Fame star for his brilliant podcast.
Hell yeah.
And then what happens is they make their recommendations and review in their board. They have also separate individuals who aren't named that are part of the entertainment industry. They kick that over to the city, and then the city finally votes on it. And then all of those are listed as, right now, well, anyway, I don't want to get into the logistics.
Has the city ever said no to any of the, as far as you, in your, because by the way, thanks for being here.
Of course.
You are so knowledgeable. You know the numbers of these things. Like, I don't even know my mom's phone number, and you know
limited to just this. I'm not an expert in anything else in city politics, except I could say I'm an amateur expert on this. Yes.
So thank you for being here. I love having experts on here. Do you know of any names that have been declined by the city?
The chairman of the Public Works back in 1972 declined to vote for Charlie Chaplin. That was, I think his name is Noel, Nowell. I'm not sure. Or it might be Norwell or something like that. But so, you have...
Because Charlie went to England to avoid taxes or something?
That's what was his explanation for not voting yes on this was. He said, my constituents, I don't think would approve of me voting yes.
Interesting.
And, obviously his McCarthy era, and you had that going on as well, too.
Oh, right.
So I don't know if they were vocal about expressing that, and that's why, or if it was the IRS going after him. But there's that, no, I don't think a lot of people know that we do have people who have, well, really, it's the only instance of a city council person objecting to a name on the Walk of Fame.
So that's the only time we know of.
Yeah, and I don't even know if the city council knows that obviously they can vote no on these things. They vote on every single one of them. So if they wanted to, when Dr. Oz came up, they could have decided to vote no, but everyone voted yes. So, we have this guy who peddled quack beans and colloidal silver who's now being honored on Vine Street. And it's like, what the hell? No, I'm from Massachusetts.
When did you come out here?
2011.
Okay.
Yeah, drove out here for 4 days, straight shot. Stopped over in Oklahoma and narrowly missed a tornado in May, and then arrived here, thankfully safely.
What brought you out here?
Originally, the entertainment industry, which I have now since kind of cut ties with.
Why?
Oh man, it's a lot. I envy those who still are.
Were you an actor, a writer? What did you want to do?
Originally came with the ambition of acting, and if anyone wants to watch Dark Feed, my original feature film that I landed just out of college, I think you'll know why I left that pursuit.
What school did you go to?
Boston University.
Hey.
Props to Boston University. It was a great college, university. Loved my experience there. I had a fun time in London afterwards, doing a little Lambda program for a semester at classical acting. Was wonderful. Great time.
BU, is that where Howard Stern went?
I believe so.
So, as far as we know, only one councilman has ever objected to anybody, and it was Charlie Chaplin, of all people.
As far as I know,
who helped build Hollywood. Okay, let's talk about Charlie Chaplin real quick, though.
Oh, gosh, I'm not that knowledgeable.
No, but just in general. Because I think this is what the Hollywood Walk of Fame board is talking about a little bit, is that we don't really want to dig up people's names because 20 years down the road, people might feel differently. Now we got to put them back in. You know what I'm saying? So, even if Charlie Chaplin was in deep water then, we love him now again, or I think so. I don't know. Has he been Me Too'd again?
Some other stuff has come up, I think.
But I bet you he has warmer feelings today than he probably did in the 70s. And so I think their point would be we don't want to just dig up these people because of the times. We want to honor them because of their gift to, I laugh because you did mention Dr. Oz.
Now you're forever just going to be thinking of
they're
every...
saying, hey, just because the Winds of Change hits in the 80s or the 90s or whatever, it shouldn't screw it up for eternity.
And it's not an argument that I outright dismiss. I understand that, there's some historical relevance for these individuals, but, a majority of these individuals are dead and gone. They've already died. They're not actively emboldening white supremacist fascists in our country after attempting a coup and lying about a virus that is, because of their actions, according to the Lancet Commission report and scientist Peter Hotez, led to the unnecessary deaths of tens and tens of thousands of our fellow Americans. So, I think there's it goes back to what one of the lawyers for NBC back in the time, when the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce was attempting to install the Walk of Fame, it made a great point of what happens if one of these honorees commits a felony. What happens then? Should their name be removed? Why aren't we waiting until people die? And, on that point, not the National Park Service, the local Park Service here in Los Angeles has a policy that we don't have naming rights for those who are currently living unless you make an exceptional argument for why. So that's we have a lot of agencies that don't allow that. This is an exception to that because obviously you want to honor people while they're living for their works. But it's an argument to be made. What is the slippery slope that they claim? But no one else is arguing for Charlie Chaplin's star to be ripped up at this point. No one's arguing for Gig Young, who killed his wife and then killed himself back then, to be ripped up. He's dead and gone. There's a tourist aspect, this morbid fascination with a lot of these figures on the walk. And I don't want to affect those people's industries who give tours and go down that road of sordid history. But I think it's an active and tacit, and sometimes I would say complicit endorsement of this political figure who has divided America. I don't think there's anyone who embodies the spectrum of hate as someone like Donald Trump. I don't think we've ever had someone like this. And so I think it takes a different consideration. I think it does rise above normal politics. But that's where I see it. I
pride myself on not doing research. But you have such an interesting Twitter feed. What's your Twitter account name?
At Andrew_Rudick.
The other Andrew Rudick took your non-underscore name?
There's another Andrew Rudick who's a comedian, and please follow him as well too, because he's very, very funny.
All right, good.
But and I think he actually lives in Los Angeles right now too.
So
He'd be a great host.
Andrew_Rudick. How do you spell the last name?
Rudick.
Okay, so I mean that's how we started communicating with each other.
Yeah,
and I often come across as kind of a jerk on Twitter.
Oh, I thought that's how I came across it, because I usually come across as blunt
you're
and
just passionate about this topic, and that's who I want on this show. I want people who give a shit, and you really do give a shit. And so one of the things that I saw on your tweets that I was not familiar of before. First of all, I had no idea that City Council was involved at all in this. It does make sense, but the myth, I guess, that I used to believe in was also that they just gave up the rights to the the Hollywood Walk of Fame people because they have real work to do, and these are just stars on the street that pay for themselves.
Yeah,
the city doesn't have to pay for it, because when you do get a new star, if the Tony Pierce star did arrive, somebody would have to fork over like 50, 60 grand.
Yeah, now $75K. Yeah.
Is it 75 now?
Yeah.
That pays for it. Which is great, because it's obviously for 75 grand, it's paying for more than just my star.
Yes.
It's paying for these Charlie Chaplin stars that they didn't raise any money for.
Allegedly for the maintenance. Yeah. However,
right.
Because they don't have to itemize their Form 990s. It's, there's a little bit question about, what exactly does a star cost versus the maintenance, et cetera.
But we have noticed through the Donald Trump star and all the defacement that's gone on there that they do clean up the sidewalks
quite efficiently.
Yeah.
I'd say in partnership with the Hollywood Partnership, who is an organization there who helps out all of that stuff.
Yeah.
At least I spoke with someone there who said that they sometimes alert the Hollywood Historic Trust to and it helps because no one wants to see on our sidewalk just a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
And
it was originally made for tourism, and tourists do go there and take pictures on all their It's doing the thing that it was originally intended to do.
Yes.
Just bring tourists here, spend money.
Yes.
Be happy, all that. And during COVID, they put wood over Trump's star because it was causing such an issue.
A wood and then a little metal fence, which I went up to. And I'm like, he has his little private little jail here, and it's protected from any public scorn at this point.
But wasn't that an artist that put that up? And
no, there was. Yeah, there was both. I think Plastic Jesus is also someone you should all follow. Great installation artist who has been doing the Lord's work, if I may say.
Oh, so you're saying that the Walk of Fame people put up a different kind of a wall around it?
Yeah, they literally put a metal fence next to the plywood so that no one could even try to remove the plywood.
So what I read on your Twitter account was that in order to get that star, they were supposed to have a vote first,
correct,
so that they could have the ceremony, I guess.
Yeah.
And
back in 2007, January something, when Trump had the ceremony with the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, at that point in time, the city council hadn't voted for that star to be placed there. So
do you know what took them so long to do this? Because it takes a long time.
Bureaucracy.
Even to make the star, it takes time.
Well, I believe it only takes a week, because it has to cure and it has to go through that whole process. Right. Obviously, Anna Martinez knows better than I on that. Yeah. I think it's about 6 or 7 days.
But what
they need time to prepare.
At least today, maybe it was different in 2006. But at least today, it seems like, for example, Gwen Stefani just got a star recently. And they announced it a year ago. They said, here's the people who are going to get it in 2023. Yep. And here's the dates. And sometimes the dates have to change because of whatever. But you don't get a star overnight. So I guess all I'm saying is I feel like City Council probably even in 2006 knew this star was going to happen. Well,
for instance, Macaulay Culkin's ceremony is already dated for December. That council file, you can look on it, LA City Clerk Connect, just type in 23-0007, and it will pop up everything from this year. Macaulay Culkin was awarded a star, I believe, last year. But they have to schedule these, Anna Martinez in the chamber has to schedule these ceremonies with these artists and these entertainers. And so it takes time. You have to go through their management. You have to go through people who no longer have that certain manager or certain person attached. You have to go through, they have to make sure that the person who sponsored that nomination pays for that
That's right.
installation fee.
But
so
this
it's
is
a
what
whole,
I'm saying about Trump,
you know.
though. So why do you think Garcetti had his pants down and didn't do the right paperwork?
Well, it's just a matter of, I guess the city, I don't want to blame the city clerk's office for this, but literally it's the timing of it. And this is why I brought up this issue back in February. I learned that a Trump star didn't get a vote until after the ceremony.
Right.
You have all these recent, the Jonas brothers, John Favreau, all these people. Yeah,
Which,
go ahead.
by the way, is it's so on brand that something Trumpian was illegally placed in the first place down there.
Yeah, and then
So-
they retroactively approved it and said, okay, well, now,
Right.
yeah.
So regardless,
Because he's
of-
Trump, yeah.
regardless of how we feel about digging it up, even putting it in was wrong.
Yeah, and I still want to know who paid for it. I don't know if Anna Martinez told you that or if that's, under an NDA or a private
She and I
disclosure.
have never
but,
talked about who pays for anything.
Yeah.
But Trump has never had problem raising money.
No, but he also doesn't pay for a lot. So I'm also curious at the time when he was dealing with these Russian real estate transactions with Michael Cohen, who, I'm sorry, Michael Cohen, I don't know if you'll listen to this, lied to me over Twitter, talking about Twitter, saying that I didn't work back then for him. I'm like, are you kidding me? I just looked at your own plaintiff's court filing here that says that you worked for him at these dates, prior to these dates, at the Trump organization. So, he would hypothetically have knowledge of who paid for this $20,000 fee at the time.
Was Cohen on the payroll at the time or not?
From the Trump organization?
No, when he tweeted you.
No, he had left. He just tweeted back in March, I think, of this past year. Yeah.
Well,
but anyway, random sidetrack, but
because he seems like he's an upfront guy now.
Yeah, I don't know if legalese if he's still involved in an NDA on that side. He can't say what
he
happened.
He probably doesn't
unless
remember. I mean, there's probably $20,000 checks flying all around that office.
Exactly. It's again, speaking of priorities, I get it's not an issue for people.
Yeah.
But
it is an issue for you.
Certainly.
Because you're an idealist.
I would say on this issue, yes.
Are you an idealist about a lot of other things?
I mean, starting in this whole kind of 3-year saga going into, my FOIA request that I had sent, and I decided to sue the U.S. Treasury, which I didn't think I would ever as a person do, but I did that, and then realized, oh crap, if I actually lose this, if I didn't actually look at the actual statute correctly, then I could be up for a lot of money that I have to owe.
You have to pay the Treasury's
I would have
lawyers?
had to pay the Department of Justice, I think.
Ay.
But thankfully that worked out. But then, going into that, and then COVID and the pandemic we all experienced, and then learning that the city wasn't enforcing its own zero tolerance protocols for those with the vaccine mandates, which the whole nation had alleged were, the strictest in the nation. And it's like, well, we're not even enforcing them. And here, I can show you here this CPRA request that shows we literally have cited 0 businesses. So it's like, there's a lot of rhetoric we have. Everyone says a lot in the city council and the city at large, but then when it comes to the actual actions, that to me is like, so when I'm speaking of idealism, it's just for me, blatant hypocrisy, just not following through with what you say. I'll call that out, and I have no qualms in doing so because it's like, people deserve the truth, and no, that hasn't what has been happening. This is what's been happening.
What astrological sign are you?
I'm a Pisces.
Okay.
Don't know what that means other than, I guess I'm
whatever it means, it means.
a fish.
Yeah. Have you talked to the mayor, the new mayor?
I have attempted to reach out to the mayor multiple times. I have received a quasi-statement from the office a couple months back that
What did she
said,
say?
quote, Mayor Bass does not support Donald Trump, which
That's
did
it.
not answer my question. But
Yeah.
and I understand she doesn't support Donald Trump, but I want to know if she supports the removal of Donald Trump's name from the sidewalk that 10 million plus tourists visit annually. But
Let's go to Hugo Martinez.
Mr. Soto-Martinez, Councilmember Soto-Martinez.
Is he your councilman?
He's not.
Do you have Nithya over there?
Nithya Raman's my councilwoman, yes.
Have you tried to talk to her?
Yes, I have had many communications with her office on this issue. But because of the tradition, obviously, in the city council, of everyone wanting to defer that a district the council person represents, no one wants to intervene in anyone else's perceived turf.
Right.
Which, again, I think this is an issue where unprecedented action 6 days after the insurrection of the United States, every single member, with the exception of Marquise Harris Dawson because he wasn't present that day, voted to passed this resolution calling for Congress to remove Trump via the 25th Amendment to the Constitution. 6 days after January
Hold on.
6th.
Remove Trump from where?
From office. They called for Congress to act and for Vice President Pence to act to remove him from office via the 25th.
Right.
And it's like, if you can do that, if you literally will pass this unprecedented move, 6 days after, and now we're at what, 1,030 plus days since that action took place, and you're all like, well, it's their line. I'm not going to say something about this. And it's like,
we're
come
cool
on.
removing him from office, but not from the sidewalk.
Right. It's a 3 by 3 foot piece of concrete on our public right of way.
Okay, I can see why this little club, this little city council don't want to step on each other's toes. I can see that. But I've talked to Nithya once when she was running, and as a journalist, and I found her to be very intelligent and a straight shooter, and very much like Bernie. I mean, her posters have Bernie on them. And
to give my council member Nithya Raman much credit, her office is the only one who took my direct submission as a proposed name, the Entertainment Workers of LA, and I drafted a mock motion and then followed the council file from 1978, which is the only codified council file outlining how new stars shall be, placed on the sidewalk and what that process will look like. I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna bypass the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce's self-imposed policy. I'm gonna go through the city because this is the only policy the city currently references in every star file. So I'm gonna use that. And she said, yes. I had John D'Amico, former mayor of West Hollywood, look at this, say, yeah, this is great. And so I said, all right, I'm gonna send it. I sent it off to Hugo Soto-Martinez first. His office didn't respond to this submission. They still haven't.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, I think they wanted to do their due diligence to look at it, but at the same time, I had spoken with their office repeatedly since April of this past year when one of his staffers came up to me in chambers of the city council and said, hey, we agree with you. We agree on the merits of this. Listen, everyone wants it removed. We just don't understand the process of how that would look like.
Awesome.
I was great. Exactly. You want to set up a meeting? Sure. Met with them in June. I sent them a whole email compiling all what I had. I said, please, obviously, cross-check this. I updated them when I had gotten a couple of things wrong. I said, hey, FYI, just heard from the Department of the Interior. This is incorrect. Just heard from State Office of Historic Preservation. This is correct. This is incorrect. They said, thank you. I said, great. And still, it's like, we're unsure of the process. We're not quite sure if this is possible. I'm like, well, LA City Planning just said it is. So why isn't the city attorney just now? Why isn't anyone just saying, we need a report within 30 or 60 days telling us what this path would look like? If you really are going to say we want it removed, then there's a path there. You're the city of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
You have jurisdiction over this public monument. And it's one piece out of 2,765 pieces of this monument.
And it's his district.
In your district. I know. And I take him at his word. In the latest article from The Guardian where he says, I am going to tackle this. I'm going to figure out how to do it. But again, if it's about the process, if it's literally about we don't want to take up city resources, there are many people who have been intimately aware of this council policy and now the misinformation that has been checked from months and months and months since February, since the Bureau of Engineering and the city attorney was aware that, back to preemptively permitting and the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce deciding to install stars without council approval, which they should have been aware of. We needed the council to vote on these because it's been that case since 1978. The Bureau of Engineering said, yes, we're going to correct this. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. We will make sure this never happens. We've corrected the timeline. And they did so.
I'm still going to call you the expert until a better expert of this.
And I'm happy to be corrected. Anyone can, please correct me. Anyone.
Who should Hugo be talking to? If he's unsure, which I don't doubt that he's not unsure. He's brand new to this job. By the way, did you talk to Mitch before he lost to Hugo?
Yes.
What did Mitch have to say about this topic?
Mitch's communications director, Daniel Halden, at the time said, our position aligns with the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, that it is every star is part of the historic fabric and we will not touch it.
Okay.
And I said, well, that's not I'm asking for your position as an office. Do you believe it? And he said, Mitchell Farrell has always hated Trump and he stands for the worst among us. And it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, then, and I get it, because Daniel Halden served as an honorary board member for the Chamber of Commerce. He served as a board member for the Hollywood Historic Trust.
Oh, really?
Yep. Mitchell Farrell received $90,000 in 1 month alone from the Hollywood Chamber PAC. So, this is an organization that wields a lot of political power. So I do also want to commend Councilmember Hugo Soto-Martinez for not only standing up to the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce by saying, I'm going to tackle this, but, I just want that process to be followed through with. And I get that there's other things going on. I do. But that's why I'm like, ask the city attorney to look at this, because they already know about this. Right. They already are very familiar with this process,
but do you think, again, we're talking about Trump. So I don't think, even if Hugo is successful at taking away this star, I don't think the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce is going to be so mad about it.
I think as long as they don't have to act, they're afraid of legal liability. Like, literally, I spoke with someone who is both currently involved in the city and is a member of the Hollywood Historic Trust. She says everyone wants it removed, that their attorneys advised them against it, that they even wanted the star to remain defaced and bludgeoned after Austin Michael Clay and James Otis took pickaxes and sledgehammers to it.
How many names does that guy have?
Oh, two separate people. Sorry, I just rambled them together. But Austin Clay was I think he was the second one. And then James Otis was both the first and third. Then
there's been 3 pickaxes?
Twice from one person.
Okay.
So once he had a sledgehammer, the other time he had a pickaxe, I believe. I'm not sure which was which. And then once in an Incredible Hulk outfit, which I just find
Didn't one of these guys turn themselves in, too?
Oh, yeah, he instantly did afterwards. He's like, yeah, it was me. Yeah. And he has a lot of money. I think he comes from money. So I think he was able to afford that, which I applaud him for doing so, because it's a felony vandalism charge. And that
who's this guy again that has money?
Believe his name is James Otis.
James Otis, if you want to sponsor this episode, busblog@gmail.com. But by the way, we appreciate your work.
Yeah.
And his honesty. I broke the law. I'm the one who did it. Don't bust somebody else.
Here are my hands. Yeah.
Here's the evidence. Here's the weapon.
Right.
And I'll do it again. And he did do it again.
But that's one of the great, and also thank you to James Otis, because I found the court case, which, showed that in the stipulation, the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce owns these stars, which there was a lot of no one knew, is this a Hollywood Historic Trust property? Does the sponsor actually retain a portion of ownership of these stars or whatnot? And no, this is the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce's property. So it's just private property on the public right of way, which, as we know with 4118, the city loves to remove property from the public right of way. It's what makes this so damn special?
You could be on 60 Minutes for this. There could be a documentary about this.
Please do not want
because
that.
All of these weird little nuances. And you're right, the court cases always bring up stuff that we don't really know about.
Yeah, that no one wants to say or mention But yeah, and I wouldn't want that exposure, for the death threats that would inevitably come my way for those Trump supporters, etc. Which
Has that already happened to you? Have you gotten on Twitter?
No, thankfully not. But I did learn from the city of West Hollywood that they received over 10,000 threats, calls, just from their resolution that they passed in 2018 after Charlottesville.
So we've mentioned West Hollywood a couple times now. Mm-hmm. How do they have any leverage in this?
They didn't. It was a symbolic move.
So it would be like if the city of Culver City said, "Yeah, us too," right?
Yeah.
Who cares?
It's a power move, but it got the city on the record. It got the city to say, why aren't they acting on this? What? So, in a political sense, I applaud them for that.
I felt like it was a little confusing because when they made their motion in, what was that, 2018?
2018.
People were under the belief it was going to go down. And I was like, West Hollywood isn't regular Hollywood.
Yeah, all these international outlets covering it as if this is an inevitable move. And I think that's why when it didn't happen, people are like, oh, it can't be done. This is just something that cannot be touched. Because, a lot of people don't think LA County is LA County, and that's it.
Okay, so death threats aside, because those are real.
Yes.
This suing dilemma. If Trump sues, who cares?
Exactly. I cannot wait for the city attorney Heidi Feldstein-Soto just to be like, sure, bitch, bring it on.
Well, she does lose a lot of cases.
Well, I hope she brings up this one, at least fights the victory for this one.
But according to your research that you've been telling me, he doesn't have a leg to stand on. If the chamber owns it, is there a contract that they sign with these honorees?
That's the question. That's the only other thing it wouldn't hold the city liable, because the city wouldn't know about this contract, because none exists, at least in public
You've
record.
never
that
seen
I could,
a contract?
No, I asked for every single contract or MOU that the city currently holds with the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce.
An MIU, what's that?
Memorandum of Understanding,
Okay.
contract. I've received the ones for the their administration of the East Hollywood Business Improvement District. I haven't received anything else. I've spent a lot of time on that. But if anyone knows of something like that, but that's a possibility. The chamber could have said, here's this private contract between us, and I don't know. I don't know what they've decided to. Because the only prerequisite that the city has for new Walk of Fame stars is that this person has to be a, quote, outstanding member of the entertainment industry.
Okay.
That's the only qualification they have to receive.
Right.
Which, again, Dr. Oz, Donald Trump, are they outstanding members of the entertainment industry? But
okay, so let's pretend that there isn't a clause that says if you get thrown in jail, we can take away your star. Let's pretend that doesn't exist. Because I bet you they didn't put that in there. Because guys like Fatty Arbuckle are out there. And this Gill fellow, you said, who killed his wife.
Gig Young killed his wife, killed himself. Spade Cooley also bludgeoned his wife to death.
Eesh.
There's some dark figures on that sidewalk.
Jerry Lee Lewis married his 13-year-old cousin.
Yeah.
And what did you say these people had to be?
Outstanding members of the entertainment industry.
Yeah. He invented rock and roll, kind of.
Huh?
Him and Little Richard invented rock and roll.
Right.
That's outstanding.
So here's the thing about the distinction between separating the art from the artist, which obviously comes on a case-by-case basis, as you've just demonstrated. And I think it has to be brought up that way. In this case, again, I think there are a handful of people that should just be outright removed. But I haven't a handful, a very small handful, in my opinion.
Yes.
Bill Cosby, yes, he shouldn't be honored on our sidewalk. Get him out of there. I think everything else should be looked at with the county, for instance, has a deaccessioning or removal policy for all civic art.
They do?
They have a whole deaccessioning civic art procedures. And if Donald Trump's name was right now on county property and considered county possession or, over their public right of way, it would qualify for two of the deaccessioning procedures currently in place, which is if it's received 5 years of consistent adverse public reaction, then it can go. So literally,
I like that clause.
Yeah,
because that's not a whim anymore. 5 years straight.
Yeah, and the Donald Trump star would definitely be in that arena. Mm-hmm. So
so what's the second?
For
the county.
I have it written down. Let me see. I'm gonna go and I have my thing here. 1 second. Sorry.
He's brought his paperwork, ladies and gentlemen, which a lot of people don't.
Here we go. The artwork requires excessive or unreasonable maintenance. This is the second clause.
It does. It is excessive.
Which I guess the chamber doesn't care about, they say. This is another little tidbit. I hope someone gets back to you. I hope the Chamber of the Historic Trust does get back to you on this, because I learned that a private Trump organization was paying for every time the stars are destroyed, that a private organization fronts the bill. So it's not really prohibitive for the chamber to worry about this in a financial reason, or the Historic Trust to be like, oh, we're losing money here, which I think is also part of the problem. It's like these Trump supporters see I'm guessing this is a shrine to them. I literally had one person pull out a stun gun on me on Hollywood Boulevard just for literally, I get that vendors should be able to vend on Hollywood Boulevard, but this man in particular was selling Trump merchandise. So yes, I'm going to go up and ask for him, do you have a permit for doing so? And he was like, what do you mean? I don't have to have a permit. You're going to ask anyone else if they have a permit? And I'm like, no, I'm asking you. Do you have a permit to sell this merchandise on Hollywood Boulevard right now? And he got really enraged, reached into his box underneath the table, pulled out a stun gun, and came at me with it. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, people really take his name on our sidewalk with such seriousness. Mm-hmm. And I thought I took it with seriousness in the other direction, but I'm not going to whip out a stun gun on someone.
So now do you leave these people alone?
I haven't seen him there since, but
you would go back and approach him again?
I would go back and film him. I wouldn't go back and talk to him because he's dangerous. But
God bless Pisceses. Seriously, I would just leave these people alone.
I know. Well,
that's more powerful alive, non-stunned, working with Hugo.
I'm not an intimidating person, so sometimes the smartest move is to just walk away. Be the Taoist in the.
I involve myself when I shouldn't sometimes too.
But sometimes it's necessary, sometimes you have to at least, if they're literally tourists walking by taking pictures of that moment. I'm like, this is just, this is what happens. It's attracting the worst of us to align with that type of hatred on our sidewalk.
Next to Trump star is who?
Oh God, the immediate person next to Trump star. I know
to
there's
the west. Kevin Spacey.
Thank you. Yes, to bring up another unsavorable character.
Another guy who I think got off the hook legally.
Yeah, as far as his Massachusetts case, groping that allegedly, I guess I can't say groping because he wasn't found guilty of it. And then, he just had a recent, what was the one in England or the UK where
he got
there
off
was
the
something
hook.
else? Yeah.
So I think, again, the chamber would say, see, we can't dig them up right away because we want to be fair to these people.
But I'd be interested in hearing what they actually say if they actually drew an ethical line, but they've never actually responded to that question in any particular fashion.
Because their statement is, once it's in, it's gone.
Yeah, and they say, we don't know what's going to happen. It's a slippery slope. But my contention is, I think a handful of people rip them up, perfectly fine. But the real damage that having Trump's name still intact on our sidewalk does is in a political campaign in 2024, I do feel like it's a political endorsement from the city.
Oh, you do?
And in a small manner, it's there at the existence of this. It's there at the allowance of the city. So in that same fashion, if you're going to allow an honorific, again, it's an honorific, which it's not a museum piece showing all of Trump's actions in succession and his chronology of despicable acts. It's literally an honorific in brass and marble to a man who just called for the execution of our former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
In a new interview out today, Chairman Milley addressed those threats from the president.
President Trump recently said that your dealings with China were so egregious that in times gone by, the punishment would have been death.
That's right, he said that.
I think any pro-democracy city or town in America, if we went to Germany and all of a sudden we start seeing Hitler memorabilia on the public right of way.
Does Hillary or Barack Obama have stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
No. The only other president I think is Ronald Reagan. I might be mistaken there.
Well, and he was the president of Screen Actors Guild, right?
Yes. Was he, though, an outstanding member of the entertainment industry? I haven't even seen any of his
Bedtime
movies.
Goes to Bonzo isn't one of your favorites? You don't have that on Blu-ray?
I have to watch some of those classics. I'm horrible with that. What do you say? Bedtime with Bonzo?
Bedtime for Bonzo. You know that one?
No.
I'm an old man. This was.
I'm writing that one down, actually.
It's him with a little chimp.
Okay.
Bonzo's a chimp.
I'm watching that tonight. Thank you.
I'm not a huge fan of the politician Reagan at all, and he dragged his feet on AIDS, which probably killed a bunch of people too. But he was a popular actor. And that's what that Walk of Fame is supposed to be. So another thing about your Twitter that I loved when you described Trump is you put producer in quotes. Go ahead. Sorry. When they nominated him, because Trump is only there because of the Miss America pageant, right?
According to Anna Martinez.
Or Miss Universe.
Miss Universe pageant.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why he was awarded. It wasn't really The Apprentice. It was for his producing work, Miss Universe. Which it's again go back the peeping Tom, in the women's dressing rooms.
This is something he's admitting to.
Yeah.
On Howard Stern, he came in and was like, "Yeah, they let me in everywhere. I go in the dressing rooms of these pageants, and
I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else, and no men are anywhere." And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it.
You're like
Everything
a doctor.
is good.
Later in that same show, Trump is asked if he'd ever had sex with Miss USA or Miss Universe contestants.
Never comment on things like that.
Give us the first letter of the country you had sex with.
How many letters are there?
Like, how fucking grotesque. And then, that's why he's honored on the sidewalk. And there has to be also, according to the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, a history of charitable contributions in order to receive a star. You have to have a history of charitable work. Yeah. At least
Lassie has charitable work.
Oh, Lassie's been with PETA for a long time.
You're probably right.
But when people are walking by it, I don't think people are thinking to themselves, "Oh, that amazing Miss Universe producer Donald Trump. I just so appreciate his work on Miss Universe.
Remember
what
when the
a
Philippines
gift.
won?
What a great year." But You know, who can afford $75,000? Who could afford $20,000 at the point when Trump received his award?
Yeah.
You know, people who are sponsoring these nominees are studios, they're big managers, big agencies, and they're a lot of times aligned with theatrical releases and these big projects like you just mentioned. Hollywood cares about money.
Yeah.
So to keep that money train going, they don't want to upset the status quo. And that's the reason too why I think this whole bringing up the fact of sticking their head in the dog poo, for instance, is like not good, because then now we have to actually look at this and create an ethical consideration about it.
But again, we're not talking about somebody who is on the fence. Either you're in or you're out with Trump. And and I would think the majority of city council are totally against him.
Yeah.
I mean, what you said Mitch O'Farrell had to say about it, I would think Hugo would too.
I literally heard Mitch O'Farrell tell a constituent, not his, but someone in Boyle Heights at a protest. She saw me with my sign, removed the star, and she goes, "What is this about?" And I told her, and she's like, "I'm going to go and ask him." So she went up, asked him. She came back. She said, "Oh yeah, he says it will be gone, that he'll remove it." And he completely lied to her, because he was there for 6 months later and it never happened.
Right.
Because, again, money, whatever. But I'm sorry, I interrupted your question.
No, but still that's interesting to me, because I think about lame ducks all the time. Because I can understand why politicians lack courage when they're in office. Because it's a great payday. It's probably the best payday they're going to get for a long time. And it's not their original money that they really get, but it's all the other bonus stuff that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just the other day they talked about how Clarence Thomas has all these millions, and you don't get paid millions to be Supreme Court justice. So it's like, how do you make all that money? So I can see why Hugo is dragging his feet right now, because he's like, this is a gravy train that's not going to last forever. And so the last thing that guy wants are MAGA people threatening his life while he's trying to figure out,
Yeah, I understand
his
not
world.
wanting to take that battle on, and I get it.
But on the other hand, he might win re-election if he says, I'm doing things that even Mitch couldn't do.
I mean, yeah.
Because Mitch at least was a veteran politician who only kind of fell out of favor because of homelessness and the Echo Park Lake thing, which he probably just didn't see coming. And a lot of politicians got bit by COVID. That's a difficult thing for a politician to have to work with is, do I shut down businesses? Do I make people wear masks? That's hard.
Right.
What's not hard is saying what you're saying.
Yeah, talk about a populist message of a man who's literally trying to eliminate your vote and terminate the Constitution. How about let's just stop honoring him on the sidewalk? I was able to accomplish that. I mean...
And he also tries to pretend like he's this tough guy, Hugo. So you want to be a tough guy, be like, I'm the guy that did it. Put on that Sheriff Villanueva cowboy hat and be like, I'm the guy that did it. And be out there.
I mean, I'd appreciate that alter ego. I mean,
Right.
He seems like a really sweetheart, really nice guy. I haven't met him personally.
I don't think he's nice because he doesn't return my calls.
Listening to the city council meetings or tuning in, which I've been very, very intimate with the past year and a half, which I'm like, wow, these are entertaining, but it's like also, wow. And just the manner in which a lot of individuals sometimes ignore members of the public, even those who you would think, oh, this person's, maybe a little angry here, but they're saying the content of what they're saying should be addressed. And should be listened to.
Yes.
And I think that's extremely important. And why ignore members of the public?
There's I think 3 or 4 cameras on those city council meetings. And the other day, Hugo was right in front of the camera, back to the public speaker, talking to somebody. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how rude is this? It's only a half hour, 20 minutes. You got to listen to these people. You get to listen to the people. These are people that parked. They drove.
Yeah, they spent their time and their money.
They went through the metal detector, and they get 1 minute.
Maybe they got a babysitter. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
They get 1 or 2 minutes, and you don't even want to pretend that you're listening to them.
But isn't there another room, an antechamber, right next to that, where they can just go and have their? If it's something so important, go outside and chat about it. Unless you really want to be, I don't know. I don't know the context of that. But
I remember when politicians used to say, be civically minded. Talk to your people. Call your people. Well, here these people are calling. Here these people are actually coming to City Hall for that little thing and writing down what they got to say. Some people sing what they've got to say, which I love. But just pay attention for 20 minutes. Like, you can't pay attention to these people for 20 minutes just because they don't have buckets of money for you. Like, it's so blatant.
I'm with you there on that. You know, they're. I mean, Kevin DeLeon should resign. Just case
Absolutely.
in point. But
Absolutely.
a lot of times he's actually listening intently, which
He's one of the few people
I know.
that listens.
It's really ironic that he's
Isn't
the one
it?
person I look over like, what's KDL doing right now? And he's
Right.
listening to Goat Puppet. Say, you know,
Yeah.
espouse these. Well, maybe because I don't know. Maybe he has an affinity for Goat Puppet. I have no idea. But
Okay, let's go back to Hugo. Who should he talk to that will give him the information that you have?
he already has emails from LA City Planning. I know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
That their position is that one or a handful of stars would not affect the, quote, substantial alteration clause of the Cultural Heritage Ordinance.
Good.
He already knows that on a local level. The Cultural Heritage Commission, which, you know, aligns with the LA City Planning, also says the same thing. The State Office of Historic Preservation says this is a local issue. We would not intervene. The federal government, because that's not on the National Register, it's not listed as a national landmark. It's only listed on the state register. So the federal government we don't even have to talk to. The only people locally we have to talk to would be the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, because they're listed in Council File 78-3949 in a collaborative fashion for the policies
who's
for
the
these
head
stars.
of those guys?
The board of directors, Matt Fritsch is currently the president of the board of directors.
Do you know anything about Matt?
Other than he works in entertainment, I believe. That's my only information I have on him. I've filmed him a couple times. He says, we're not a political organization. I don't want to comment.
We're not talking about politics. We're talking about this producer over
Exactly.
here who tried to overturn the
I
election.
should have framed it that way. I didn't.
This producer. I'm telling you, I cracked up when you put it in quotes.
Yeah. Well,
Because he is a producer.
Well, he was.
You want
he
to take
was-
that away from him,
Well,
too?
he was an executive producer, which, you know, it's a little bit different. I mean, his producer was producing his walk to the dressing room, and that was it. But and then Steve Neeson is the CEO
You
of the
give
Chamber
Trump
of Commerce.
no credit for turning around the Miss Universe competition?
Well, I've never watched it, so I can't give him credit because I don't know what
They
it
are
was
really
like
beautiful
before and
women.
after.
They're very beautiful women.
As a gay dude, I can appreciate.
You're a gay dude?
I'm a gay dude,
I
so
never
maybe
knew.
that's why I never watched Miss Universe. I mean, I didn't even do it for the dresses, but no, I didn't watch Miss Universe.
Do my gay brothers and sisters don't watch beauty pageants?
I mean,
Is that not a thing?
do we have a gay equivalent of a beauty pageant? I mean,
Well, you have the
there's-
drag strip.
We do have drag. Yeah.
But that's wildly entertaining.
my
Whoever
gosh,
produced
yeah.
that needs to be replacing Trump star.
My fiance just went to the cha-cha room and got lap dance and received the cha-cha cup. So we now, we've been the privilege of drag shows.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes.
Shouldn't Hugo just invite you over and say, "Here's what I'm concerned about. Walk me through all my concerns."
I've asked it of his office, and I think, you know, initially his legislative director, Ms. Pynus, said that she had to go and cross-reference everything. But I was like, they're so busy, I don't trust that they're going to go through and it took a lot of time to go through and reach out to all these offices and all the level of bureaucratic nonsense. And so, I mean, if they do have a question, I'd hope they'd reach out. They literally. Well, I don't want to. I can't say what I was about to say but I know for a fact that they've received the information that they should have to properly respond to this. And I get that he's annoyed with me. I get his office is annoyed with me, and rightfully so. I'm an annoying person when it comes to this because I've been relentless on it.
No, public officials do not have the right to be upset with a citizen who has a valid gripe.
I mean,
It's the same as a pothole. You can keep calling them
Right.
if the pothole's not fixed. In your mind, that's a terrible pothole.
yeah, and I think they understand that I'm not going to give up until something is done with this. I mean, many city council members have already gone on the record with me and said, yeah, we'll vote for its removal if CD13 introduces a motion to do so. But credit to Bob Blumenfield, who's the first and the only person who's actually responded to my actual petition, change.org/dstartrump. And he's the only person who wrote to me and said, yes, I have many other matters and it's not my district, but if someone decided to introduce a motion on this, I would happily vote yes to remove it because I don't think it belongs on the sidewalk.
Tracy Park in Venice, West Side.
Yeah.
Have you talked to her?
Yes. Well,
You
I
have?
haven't talked to her personally. One of her staff members came up to me in chamber and said, Tracy just listened to your speech and she wants you to reach out to her about this. So I did. And I sent her all the information I had. This is like,
Yep.
months and months ago. And then, then I followed up on it. And her staffer said, the councilwoman does not have a response at this time. And I'm like, oh, that's just rife with, like, of course. Like, you came up to me asking for, like, my opinion on this, and she's like, no thanks. And
Well,
it's like,
we know
okay.
why, though. We know why for the same reason I'm bringing her up.
Why?
She's a Republican.
Has she
They all lie.
financed Republicans in the past, or does she? I mean, I get that position-wise.
She's a Republican.
Okay. I can understand people saying that about John Lee, but I
definitely
haven't done my
Republican.
research on Tracy
Yeah.
Park. Like the background of.
But the
where
reason I
these
bring
people
her
come
up
from.
is because I think that she would be a good measure on whether or not, even if a fake Democrat is against this, and if I was a Republican in hiding in the closet, one might say, I wouldn't like Trump either, because he makes us all look bad. Right? They've lost every election. The red wave of yore turned into a little trickle. They didn't even win back the Senate with that red wave. So hopefully Tracy Park is smart enough to know that Trump is a cancer to her party.
I mean, I think she would vote yes if this is
You do?
introduced. I think everyone would. However, many people are concerned. I think they use this as a reason to not comment, though. I'm not going to say that they're reasonably concerned about it, the slippery slope thing.
Right.
Of where would we stop? And again, deaccessioning policy. The city is already creating one because Mitchell Farrell, not on the Walk of Fame per se, even though I've spoken with someone in the Chief Legislative Analyst's office about including private property on the public on city property as part of their considerations for this, but they're doing a report right now. So the city is going to be looking at naming rights on the public right of way and other considerations because of right after the George Floyd protests, Mitchell Farrell had introduced this in the Information General Technologies Committee or whatever the heck it's called, and said we want a report from the Department of Cultural Affairs and the CLA and others to send us back their proposals for a citywide policy. So potentially, this could be an easy solution on this is like, all right, if you're afraid of like where this would go, if you're, we're going to rip up your favorite rapist now. Oh no. Like where you're afraid this would lead, then okay, well then you have a citywide policy that you can create down the line for this to be finally solved.
Also, it sounds like, and I can understand, because again, politicians have a tough job. They have to try to stay popular. So if they do something that might be unpopular, they're nervous. So they don't want to be put on the spot. Would you be okay with this? That if a honoree commits a felony, then his name goes on the next citywide ballot. And if the public decides his star should be gone. You don't like that?
Oh no. I think that's
because that way it takes the ball out of their hands.
That's a fair proposal. I also, people that are like, oh, this is the Chamber of Commerce's jurisdiction, which it isn't. It's also,
I get it why they have no spine on this. Also, they're probably getting money from people that like Trump. Those are the people who have the money a lot of times.
well, I mean, when tax was demolished, I learned this from someone who was looking into this. Mitchell Farrell, who is all about historical designation. Oh my God, the amoeba music isn't historically designated, but this tax thing from the 70s, this restaurant shouldn't be protected because of this real estate company that we want to put in, and we're just going to save the bar top and the signage now. But that real estate company developer rather had apparently been a big Trump supporter, Republican supporter.
Not shocking.
So,
Not
yeah.
shocking. So that's why I'm saying take it out of all their hands, and that way they can say to their donors, dude, the public overwhelmingly said get rid of Trump, which, by the way, I think would be representative.
Yeah. I mean, if you're worried about, again, like the city policy and having the city weigh in on these stars every single time, also to have the public vote on it, have the city of LA say, do we want this name? That could be something
have
too.
the public vote on this.
True Hunger Games style. Yeah.
I like that idea.
I mean, because they're representatives of the people anyway, and they're the ones who are voting. So why not just let the public decide? Take it out of their hands. But I mean,
And by the way, this would get people to vote.
oh heck yeah.
Because we have a hard time getting people into the polls.
Yeah,
This might do it. Jennifer Lawrence might get a star. Honey. You live in the Hollywood Hills.
Technically, yes.
How long have you lived there?
We've been there for 7 years now. We used to live near Gordon Street, right next to
Oh, hold on a second.
Sunset Bronson
Hold
area.
on a second here. I learned a very, very valuable lesson about interviewing gay people.
Okay, well, what's that?
I need to start asking some gay questions.
Okay. I'm a really horrible gay. The pop culture wind is with just the sales have already deflated, but that's
This
okay.
is the lesson I learned.
Uh-huh.
I was having a reasonable conversation with somebody, and at the end, I finally built up the courage to ask him about when he met his partner and all this.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy lit up, and all of a sudden, I was like, I should have asked this earlier.
Yeah.
But I was respecting his privacy. All
Of
this
course.
stuff, you know.
No,
I
it
mean,
was-
even though he's out and all that.
It was on this dating site / hookup site called Adam for Adam back in 2012 when that still existed. So
back east.
yeah, I don't think it's. Oh no, it was actually back here. Yeah, right when I first moved out here, and I was
Adam
staying
for
with my
Adam.
friend. Yeah, Adam for Adam, and I met not an Adam, but I met someone, and yeah, first date hit it off at the Surly Goat, which I don't know if anyone's still been there, if that still exists there on
This
Santa
is
Monica
on
Boulevard.
Santa Monica Boulevard.
Yeah.
No.
Santa Monica,
is
yeah,
it?
uh-huh,
Okay.
yeah, great beer spot.
When
Okay.
I lived in San Francisco, we used to go to gay bars all the time because a straight man at a gay bar has an empty pool table.
Depending on if you're at the Eagle, which I mean that's
Tell me about the Eagle.
well, all right. So I work near there, and then
you do?
I'll go there sometimes after work with that. But I mean that's a little bit of the extreme. If you're going to a gay bar, that's not for the light of
I
heart.
heard this is like the
But I-
leather type bar.
Yeah, it's a lot. I just kind
Bearded
of
men.
stay in my corner and have my vodka raspberry and soda and cool it, you know. But people play pool there. There are two separate pool tables. But if anyone is a pool fan and
Yeah?
if you're a leather fan, then go to the Eagle. That's where it's at. But
Would you call that Silver Lake? I think that's Silver
technically,
Lake.
so I think it's Silver Lake. Yeah, right next to
Yeah.
4100 bar area.
Right.
Yeah.
In Erewhon.
Mhm.
Right down the street from
In
Erewhon.
Yes, health food's finest. Yeah.
Okay, so you met this person
Yeah.
on Adam for Adam.
Adam for Adam.
And you guys agree to go to the Surly Goat in WeHo.
Yeah, I thought he looked like Gregory Smith, and I thought that was really
I don't know who
charming.
that is.
He was that actor from Everwood way back then.
Don't know that
Yeah,
show.
it's all good.
Okay, super handsome.
Yeah, super handsome.
Looked just like his profile on Adam for Adam.
He did. Yeah.
And I'm going to ask a personal question.
Okay.
Did you guys kiss on your first date?
I think we did, and then
You think?
I think I think we did. I don't remember because we definitely it was
you really
it was definitely
hammered?
interested in each other, or a little hammered, but then interested in each other. Part of separate ways, definitely a second date type situation. So
Okay.
we kind of like reserved ourselves a
Right.
little bit at that moment in time.
Second date was.
second date was
fireworks.
all in. Yeah.
Great. When you grew up in Mass,
Yes.
was your high school gay friendly? Were you the only guy that
No
was
one
out?
ever. So my home ec teacher in 7th grade was like, this is like our foray in. This is the only really education we had into the LGBTQ community. Was she was like, it's okay to have these thoughts, you just can't act on them.
This is
like,
home ec.
Home ec, yeah.
The lady teaching you how to cook.
yeah, we were like making profiteroles and all this stuff, and then it's like one day out of nowhere, like here's like we're just gonna have one day dedicated to let's talk about like sex and sexuality, and
What?
it was like one day, that was it, and then I don't think we've ever had
All kinds of sexuality.
no,
was
it's
discussed?
just literally just like and like little blip of 2 sentences on gay people, essentially that was it. So that's
Was
really
she
all.
part of the community?
I don't think so. She was just like really sweet Christian woman who, but
that is sweet.
public school, and she's like, I have to say this, but that's kind of always stuck with me. Is you can have these thoughts, just don't act on them, and that's so grew up in a very small town, less than 5,000 people,
that's very
Ashburnham, Massachusetts. Our claim to fame is like Cushing Academy, and then we have actually this is probably kind of more cool is Ebenezer Monroe, who was one of our revolutionary militiamen. Apparently possessed the shot heard around the world, according to certain accounts. So in our very small museum, which like I don't think has any security, there's this rifle that apparently fired the shot in the Revolutionary War. So,
Town of 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know any other gay people?
no, there's one incident where I was with my friends at a baseball park, like we're just messing around, not in that way, just literally playing baseball and just gossiping, talking about life, and this cop came out of nowhere and started questioning us, like, what are you kids doing here? We received some calls about like suspicious activity. We're like, no, we're just chatting, we're hanging out. He's like, okay, have a good night, take care. So we leave. make plans for, the weekend. I go back to my room, I'm a teenager, looking online at the dating app of the day. No one's in the area, but then I receive this bloop. It was nice seeing you earlier. I hope you and your friends stay safe tonight. And I was like, oh my God. Like, as a kid, I was terrified because I'm like, literally this man, saw me, identified me from my profile pic. And like, that's the only experience it had with people in my town. Cause it's so small. Like, it's probably very hard to meet someone if you're, an adult in that area. But again, don't go out.
Are we assuming he too is gay?
Well, if he was hitting me up on a gay dating site, yeah. I mean, I would assume.
But he's
that.
hitting on a minor.
At that time, was I? I think I was 18. But
okay.
But still, yeah. He didn't know that. I don't know. But
he probably. Let's pretend that he assumed you're 18 to be on the site.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
So he was like, "Welcome to the club, Junior."
I think so. I mean, it must be still really hard to be kind of queer in my community. It's like by small town. I mean, literally, the person who lives across from my mom won out for school board, running on a platform of just anti-LGBTQ everything.
Let's go back to the Hollywood Hills.
Mm-hmm.
So you moved to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I can be myself out there.
Yeah.
Right?
It is a lot more accepting.
Like, people
ultimately.
know that you can be, right?
Uh-huh.
That's why you come out here.
Yes.
Did it live up to your hopes?
I mean, yeah. I worked in West Hollywood for a bit at a restaurant there, and, it was a lot. But certainly, definitely more. Like, Massachusetts is still, blue state laws, very conservative in a lot of ways, and people we're very honest people back there, but still, one of the first states for marriage equality, but there's something still that people just didn't talk about it then. So coming out here, yeah, it was a breath of fresh air, of course.
Was there a place in Boston that you would go to like, there's got to be a gayborhood in Boston somewhere, right?
In the South End, South End, is that? Yeah, I think South End. Yeah, there are a couple spots, but they're really, really limited. It's a very, very small city.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not
as
a
much
big...
as those people drink.
Yeah, they're saucy.
So when you did come to WeHo, was this like Candyland? Was this like the greatest town ever?
I mean, the openness of everyone here definitely was surprising. I mean, never experiencing that. Even like studying abroad, like London, I thought, going to Europe for a bit. And I'm like, oh, this would be... No, that didn't really... It wasn't different from Boston to me.
Yeah.
But going to LA, yeah, it's definitely more of an accepting community in my opinion.
So there's the Henry Fonda music box.
Yes.
And then there's the John Anson Ford, which is where you're talking about in the hills.
Yeah.
Which I've never been to. Have you ever seen a show there?
I have. We saw Gabriella and Rodrigo Gabriella. I forget.
The
Spanish
Mexicans,
guitar, amazing players.
Yeah.
Oh,
aren't they fantastic?
Amazing. Yeah. And that spot, that venue, they have like succulents on the wall. You feel like you're in this like tropical rainforest, but very intimate venue space for the amount of people that can be seated there. And it feels really magical. Like, I mean, the Hollywood Bowl is an experience in and of itself, but if you can, get to the Ford Theater because it's a good spot.
So in those canyons, can you hear the music from the bowl?
You can. So we have a little hiking trail. We go up. I think this is about to become a public hiking trail, I hope, because it wraps around the Hollywood Lake Reservoir area. And I will go up there as much as I can. And a lot of times you can hear rehearsals, and you'll get a little bit of it, depending on, if it's windy or not outside. But that's pretty cool to just listen to the rehearsals go on. It's really hard to hear when the show starts, but...
So for sure at the John Anson, you can hear that music since
we actually can't. No, we can't hear any of that. I don't know why about the acoustics of that space, but it's really the Hollywood Bowl that we can hear from across the way, but not the Ford. Yeah.
I feel like there's maybe only a handful of shows at the Ford every year.
It seems like they're less. I don't see as many advertisements for them, but I'm not sure if that's just because of... I have no idea why that is. But
well, I mean, but you would know because there's traffic.
Yeah, like the past 2 months have been both outlets simultaneously going on. Which
have they? A bunch.
Yeah.
Because I know Neil Young played at the John Anson. But that's the only one that I know of.
And then there was one a couple nights ago. There was, I mean, they're more frequent, but I think they're definitely more isolated to summer and fall And then the rest of the season, I feel like is sparse and limited because of weather and other concerns.
So do you go down the road and eat on Hollywood Boulevard?
Oh yeah, it's only like a 15-minute walk. So
What's
yeah.
your favorite spots?
Oh, we'll go to Elbow Room, have some pizza. Definitely love Frolic Room just for the eclectic group of people that show up there. That's just great for like an overall people watching spot.
Do you go to the Pantages?
I haven't gone to the Pantages to see a musical. I went to see Kathy Griffin because I was gifted a ticket to see Kathy Griffin once live.
Yeah.
But I've never actually seen a musical or performance there. I need to get out and see more theater in this town. I know, especially now, like right at the end of the strike, and going to support those groups. I've worked on theater productions before. I just haven't really. I haven't gone out. I don't know why it is, but I have to decide to do that more.
Okay, so if we are reaching people who want to support your work to get Donald Trump's star removed,
Yes.
how can they help you?
Please sign the petition because I think strength in numbers. Change.org/DE-star Trump. So change.org/D-star Trump. If you feel inclined, you can call Councilmember Hugo Soto-Martinez's office and ask them to take action on that initiative. And yeah, I'd say those are the best two options you have going for you.
I feel like they should also probably follow you on Twitter.
If they'd like to, they're welcome to. Yes.
Well, you're very active on Twitter.
A lot. Sometimes I'll be a little bit tangential in different topics, but
okay.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
because I feel like the ball's in Hugo's court, right?
From the council members' perspectives who have declined to act on this because they've deferred to Hugo, yes, it's people are waiting for him to act.
It's kind of on him.
Even the chamber and the historic trust, for people I've spoken with at those organizations,
They're all pointing to him too.
they say now it's the city. The city has to act. We don't have jurisdiction here to remove a star. They don't want the legal liability, even if they chose to take some symbolic gesture to remove it.
And that's why I'm saying that if you support this man, follow him on Twitter, and once a week, if he says, "Hey, Hugo, waiting on you to call me back," retweet it.
Yeah, I
Because
appreciate
if you get enough
that.
of these retweets, he'll be like, fine.
I mean, there is. I mean, I do get that sometimes. It doesn't make sense to act to do something because of one person, but I'm not just one person because you literally have 7 congressional candidates who have already said remove this. You've had a whole city.
Wait,
who said
7 congressional candidates?
Yeah, they've all signed on.
Who?
We have Maybe a Girl Pudlo.
I love Maybe a Girl.
Mayor Seppi Shine.
Mayor of who?
Current mayor of West Hollywood, Seppi Shine.
Okay.
We have Laura Friedman, Assemblymember Laura Friedman, State Senator Anthony Portantino.
Your memory is fantastic.
On this, not otherwise. Former city attorney and councilmember Mike Fuhr. I filmed him
Don't
saying
like
yes,
him.
remove it.
Take him off the list.
I get it, and we'll see what happens with the FBI stuff. I don't know.
What
But-
FBI stuff?
Oh,
Is
there
he in
was something
trouble
that
with the
came
FBI?
out a couple days ago about his talks with the FBI and whether or not they were accurate or not. But I'll leave that for whoever's
He
investigating. that to
blocked me on
decide.
Twitter.
He did. Over
Yeah.
what? What did you say to him?
He, the police were harassing the journalist Lexus Olivier Ray of LA Taco.
Yes.
And the police, after the fact, charged Lexus with being on the street when they told him not to be. And he's a journalist. He can be on the street if he wants to be.
Yeah.
And Mike was the city attorney at the time. And so I was like, is there a clause in the First Amendment that says unless
Right,
the
what is-
cops are embarrassed by
Yeah,
Lexus?
because sometimes like special events, like I was told to like move. You can't be here right now. You have to move on this side of the street, whatever.
Right.
But again, journalists have different.
It was an impromptu celebration after either the Dodgers or Lakers won.
Okay.
And he was out in the streets
documenting it.
and like a flanks of cops were walking down the street trying to clear the street, and Lexus filmed it, which was journalism to me. And so I was like, Mike, if that ain't journalism, what did he do wrong?
Right. He blocked you?
I'm not nice on Twitter if you don't write me back. Every day I was on his Twitter
Yeah.
saying, I care about the First Amendment. And this is a black man on an independent media outlet.
Yep.
Would you have, if the cops had done this to Mark Brown from Channel 7?
Would that make a difference?
Right.
Yeah.
And eventually he just blocked me, which is what the cowards do.
Yeah. Just
Have you been blocked on your journey?
Oh, not on this issue. I mean,
Really?
other issues like Carrie Lake, not Carrie. Yeah, from Arizona, but she blocks everyone. You know, like those people who just like, you know, what's her name? The lawyer Jenna Ellis blocked me for,
of course.
You know, like everyone. But well, you know, lots of people who just, again, you know, they're
Okay, so you have all these. So all those people are running for whose spot in Congress? Is that
Congressional District 30 Adams Schiff seat.
Adams?
Which I don't even know the number of candidates now. It's ballooned. It's like some people. I think one person dropped out. But anyway, I think it's like
they don't want
15 or
maybe a girl to
16 or
run away
something.
with it.
Well, yeah, because she's the current presumptive front runner. I mean, she received what, 27% of the vote like the last cycle
Do you think she's a
during
chance?
the last election. I think she has a chance for sure.
That is
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, Laura Friedman has the money. Others have a lot of money in their campaigns.
That's amazing.
But yeah,
Who? Okay, let's end with this on this fun topic. Let's pretend that you're successful and the star is removed. Hugo realizes, let him sue. He's going to be in jail. He's got enough problems.
right. Which he will sue, by the way. Which everyone should expect that. Yeah.
But for what kind of money, though?
Right. He doesn't own it. Like, what's the case? There is no
Right.
case. Yeah.
Let him sue. Who should get the star? Who would you put in that star? That's primo real estate too.
Right.
You're right in front of the Foot Locker.
Anyone.
You don't have.
I think
do you want
anyone
maybe a girl
deserves-
on there?
Anyone. And I'm not even joking. I mean, I had proposed the Entertainment Workers of LA because I think it's a non-controversial choice.
There you go.
And B, anyone who moves here for the entertainment industry can then, if they book a job, say, look, I have a star on the Walk of Fame. I'm an entertainment worker in LA. So I think it's
Kind of like the
a
unknown
populist
soldier.
approach. Yeah.
But yeah, so all entertainment workers can see themselves there. I think that's beautiful.
I think in a way it is too. I mean, you know, from Anna Martinez and the Chamber's perspective, that's very high-end real estate, right where Trump's name is located. She wants Julia Roberts' name there, which if Julia Roberts accepts that ceremony, because she would be accepted, it would be there. So it's like, you know, if it's such high-end real estate, then, you know, just remove it. Restore it to a blank star for now.
Yeah.
If you don't want to put a name there, if you think and again, like not a lot of people want to be associated with the person who replaced Donald Trump, and they don't want to receive the scorn at this point in time, probably from the MAGA wrath from these crazy people. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll just put it for what I see.
But see,
with
that's
one.
another reason why your idea is so brilliant. Is they're not gonna. How are you gonna be mad at like all of
Everyone.
the entertainment business?
You're right. I mean, that's it. I did it purposely, partly for that reason. I also think it's a gesture for those who, you know, who have worked their lives in this business, who haven't been given recognition. So yeah, it's something that I think should be done. I don't have, you know, anyone could propose whatever they want as long as it's done. I'm happy. Just someone, please do it, and then I'll shut up. You know.
You really will?
You
you don't
of
have
course.
another cause.
Well,
in your
no, I'll
spot?
move on to something else. But I probably won't be as aggressive about it than I am about this because I just think this is so obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. Andrew, you've been obviously great. Thank you for coming.
It was a pleasure.
You brought
to
me
be
a
here.
gift. You brought me something out of your backyard.
Really prickly pear. I would say sorbet, but we don't have an ice cream maker. So
Straight from
you
the
have to,
hills
like,
of Hollywood.
Straight from the hills. Yeah, I rinsed them very carefully, and I used a very sharp knife, so you won't have any thorns that stick on your tongue or your throat. I ate some beforehand, so you don't have to worry about anything. But it's definitely a risk. So you know, eat at your own risk.
I totally appreciate it, and best of luck on this cause.
Thank you. Nice talking.
How great was Andrew? You know who we'd take to a show with at the John Anson Ford? Our Patreons. When you stoke us, you're saying, Tony, none of the other podcasts are showing me one Angelino after another who's doing great and interesting things and who are experts in their obsession. Enjoy the money. More, please. So shout out to our Patreons, Nancy Rommelman, Sean Atlow, Matt Mills, Sean Wallace, Greg and Molly, Jamie Taylor, Mark Johnson, Kira Ann, Barney Granke, Ben Welsh, Jen Adams, Trevor Wilson, Bree Wild, Dougie Gyro, Christina Up North, Robin Carey, Adam Shorn, Ben from Down Under, Chris from the ATX, Gregor, and Phil. To be a Patreon, just go to patreon.com/hereinla and give till it hurts. Want to support us, but you prefer the free way? No problem. you can still help. Post your favorite episode on your Facebook. Start with this one, because even your cousin in Georgia could relate with this one. Tweet this link out to your Twitter or your threads. Put it on your live journal for all I care. But tell your friends. Tell them how Here in LA is spelled, and then it's on Apple Podcasts and Google and even on YouTube. Here in LA is produced by myself, Tony Pierce. Music supervision by Jordan Katz. Songs by Orgone and Jordan Katz. Thanks for Cindy for creating the logo. And thanks to all the idealists out there who see something that should be or shouldn't be and march down to City Hall and demand that it gets fixed and keeps marching down there and keeps doing the thing, and eventually they'll get the thing done. So thank you, Patriots.